Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today we are joined by Tom Irby, who is the CEO and co-founder of Skribe. Welcome to the podcast, Tom. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you guys are doing at Skribe AI?
Well, thanks, Jordan. I appreciate you inviting me to the program. I'm excited about the call today. How we landed in the Skribe conversation, I've been a long time Central Texas businessman, owned some companies, sold some companies, done a lot of different things. But one of the companies I owned for a while was a court reporting firm from 2007 to 2014. And I learned a lot about that space. And I learned about what the old legacy business model looks like. And I learned that I didn't want to own the old business legacy business model for very long. And so started thinking about, okay, what does a modern version of that business model look like? And that's what's led me to this place with Skribe, along with my co-founder, Carl Seelbach.
And it's a really good way of putting it. And I spent a little bit of time on your website today, and I wasn't aware that they do depositions on Zoom, actually, but it seemed like obviously that's a thing.
It wasn't a thing before COVID, but when COVID came around, it became a thing. And so many different industries, COVID really fast forwarded a lot of different things, broad scale across just about every industry you can imagine. And court reporting and depositions is one of those areas, because they literally went from, hey, let's schedule a deposition and we'll meet at this address and we'll walk in a conference room and all these people will show up, to everybody had to figure out, okay, how do we still operate our business and survive? So everybody pivoted into remote depositions, which took the idea that Carl and I had been working on for years and solidified it. It became clear, okay, now we have a path to what a modern version of capturing testimony looks like in depositions. We don't have to show up face to face anymore, and some person with a funny stenography machine that was invented in the late 1800s shows up, and a videographer shows up to push record on Zoom. We don't have to do that anymore. Why not use the native technology that we're surrounded with on a Zoom call and just build out the platform from there?
Yeah, I love those sorts of solutions where you look at an industry and nobody has challenged it or innovated in it for what feels like decades. And then you take a step back and go, hang on, what's going on here? Why are we so advanced over here, but we're still rubbing together two sticks to try and make a fire over here? What's going on? Let's bring the technology in. Obviously, that's what you guys have done. Can you tell me a little bit about AI? How does AI fit into Skribe, and how does it help with the depositions?
Yeah. So this is a great conversation. This is a great topic because, in every industry, AI is a little bit scary. One of the things to be clear about is when we capture testimony, it's the video that's the official record. There's no way AI involved in the testimony. The testimony is the video. It's all as clear as you can see it. Where we apply AI is post deposition, the ability to chat and create summaries and do things with the testimony and increase workflows for these law offices. So AI is something that we've got it in our name, and it's something that we do implement, and we have a lot of plans around it. But to be totally clear about it, the testimony is as clean as it can be, and it's really just the video is the actual testimony.
I see. And having never been in a deposition myself, and anybody that's listening, I imagine that's a good thing. I only seen it on lawyer shows where somebody is in a deposition. It usually means they're in trouble with the law and they're having to swear something in. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, there's some sort of legal battle going on where you would be a party. And if you can maintain that, Jordan, and not be a party in a deposition, good job.
Right. And so
although it's not great for my business, like I kind of, it would actually benefit me to have more depositions. But
well, there'll always be people in trouble with the law, I'm sure, or getting sued and stuff like that. So what sorts of solutions after the deposition is Skribe able to provide to the lawyers or to the parties involved?
To answer that question, I want to paint the picture of what the legacy business model looks today, so you have some perspective about what we do versus what 90% of the market still does. So if you and I were opposing counsel and we were going to schedule a deposition using the old business model of the legacy court reporting firms, I'd say, hey, Jordan, we've got this lawsuit between us. I've got a deponent or a witness that I want to put on the schedule. I'm going to go ahead and push it out to the court reporting firm. The court reporting firm would say, hey, Tom, Jordan, it looks like 3 weeks out, we can get you on the schedule. Is that okay? We say, yeah, let's go for it. So we show up in 3 weeks. We have the deposition. After the court reporter shows up, the videographer shows up, and maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks later, we get all of the details around that deposition delivered. You're talking about a month to 2 months from the time you and I decide, hey, we need to have a deposition to ask questions of this witness to when everything's delivered. That's the old model. The way we do it is I'd say, hey, Jordan, we've got this case. I want to depose this person. How does your calendar look for tomorrow at 1 o'clock? You say, yeah, let's go for it. We put it on the calendar. We show up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Within an hour after the deposition, we both get delivered a rough transcript that's synced to the video. You can look for key moments in the testimony. You can create video clips. You can share it with your witness, your client. You can share it with co-counsel. You can start working on the product of the deposition immediately after the deposition. And then the other thing you can do is you can use AI to chat against that testimony. So say you want an executive summary, like what exactly happened to this deposition at an executive summary level. Or you can say, hey, but I like this format for a summary. Use this format for a summary and give me a little bit deeper sort of summary. So that's the workflow around us. We change it from a month or two to within 24 hours and immediately being able to work with the testimony,
Very cool.
which has amazing benefits in this space. And I want to inject just one real quick story, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
So we've got an actual client in San Antonio that had one case, had a deposition in the morning, deposition in the afternoon, two different witnesses, same case. Goes to the first deposition, asks all the questions, gets all really great testimony. On the break between the two depositions, gets delivered the rough transcript, the video clips. He finds key moments in the first deposition, creates video clips, goes into the second deposition, uses video clips from the first deposition in the second deposition, and has an amazing result in the case.
Oh, wow.
That sort of velocity is unheard of. And so that's kind of what we're doing.
I see. So it's brought the timeline from what sounds like it's painful, long, expensive, involves multiple people and clunky. Probably there's even potential for documentation. Maybe I'm not sure. I mean, I imagine you've got a human inputting all these things on a clunky machine. Surely it's not 100% accuracy for the last 100 years it's been used,
That,
and then you've shortened it down to almost instant, which just solves so many problems.
That's
I love
spot on.
that.
That's spot on, Jordan. And I want to go back to something you just said. So the court reporters, they do great work, and they go through a lot of testing, a lot of school, a lot of certifications, and they have to be at least 95% accurate in order to pass their certifications. The vast majority of them are above that, but just from a certification standpoint, type words on paper. And so if you just think in terms from a practical standpoint, if say a month or two goes by and you want to, what was the discussion? What was the testimony? Would you like to look at a document of X number of pages and words on those pages to really have a sense of what happened there? Or would you like a video that has these transcripts attached to it and watch the video so you can kind of see the conversation? We think the latter is the more powerful.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when somebody's typing something, there is some element of risk. And I'm not making any accusations, but there is some element of risk. What is heard and typed could be slightly off in some form or fashion, whereas the video is the video. Like there's no real question. If you have if you want to really see what was said, there's inflection or nonverbal, or if a word was said slightly different, but read a different way, video cleans all that up.
And so do I understand that the Scribe doesn't facilitate the recording of that video? It's through Zoom and then loaded into Scribe? Is that
We are an ISV, an independent software vendor partner with Zoom. So we integrate with Zoom. So everything is through the Scribe app, 100% in the Scribe app. It's just Zoom is under the hood of our virtual technology.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's like way more powerful than I first thought. So what is your background? Just sort of moving away from Scribe here. Obviously, I can read your LinkedIn profile, but
Right.
what's your background
Well, I mean, I
personally?
think that's a long call, Jordan, but I'll give you the quick overview of it. I think of it as in like three big chunks in my career, a 40-year career, but three big pieces to it, and roughly a decade in each of those pieces, give or take. So the first one was right out of college. I landed in the computer industry, and it was very early stage PC and formation when it was really just beginning. The company was by the name of CompuAd. So I was a second employee there. We ended up growing to $500 million company and had a lot of success, but it ended up going away. But we were also crosstown rivals with, there was a young kid that was just dropping out of college. His name was Michael Dell. You might have heard of Michael Dell. And Michael was actually my customer because I opened the first retail store for this computer company that I
Oh,
started working with. So Michael hadn't even started. The first company he had was PCs Limited. It wasn't Dell. He hadn't even started PCs Limited. He was just a college kid that was really interested in technology, and he was networking offices and doing his thing. And so we got to work a lot with him from a supply standpoint. He was buying stuff from us, and then he popped out at some point being as a competitor. So we were crosstown rivals with him for the better part of a decade. He went public. We didn't go public. He made some good choices. We made some decisions that led to our demise, but nevertheless, it was a really great period of time, super impactful period of time.
well, funny you say that. This screen is Dell. I stare at that every
Yeah.
day. So there you go.
Yeah. And let me continue. I'll finish off my thoughts on it. The other piece of that, I said three different pieces in my career, big pieces, I almost hate to even say it. It was a payphone company. I don't know. You probably don't even know what a payphone is, do you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I've used a bunch of them.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I'm not that young.
Yeah. So like in 1988, I believe I started a payphone company, really just thinking it was going to be a hobby and kind of pocket change. It was not a big deal. I had one young kid at the time. Um, and it was really just, hey, I'm going to do this to help cash flow with family while I work on kind of my next career move. Well, it turns out that was an 11-year run with the payphones. We had close to 800 phones in 7 states. And I exited that company right about the time the cellular phones came in and destroyed payphones. So I was like to the favor side about 6 months before it would have been next to impossible to sell that business. I sold it. So that was the middle piece. And then the last piece I'd say is the court reporting firm that I mentioned earlier. I bought that in '07, ran it till 2014. I learned a lot about this space. And I think one of the motivating factors that's kind of thread that goes all the way through my career is you there's disruption that happens to everybody in your career. You see it, and the trick is to try to avoid being on the bad side of the disruption. You want to be on the good side of disruption. And so that's the thing that I've learned all the way through this is with the PC industry, we got disrupted and that company ended up going away. The wireless destroyed payphones. I dodged a bullet on that one. I could see disruption coming and I avoided it. And now the court reporting really becomes the other one, the court reporting agencies. I sense a real strong disruption and I'm part of that disruption that's coming into that place or into that market space.
That's really fascinating. It seems like you've always been early to adopt a new technology that's about to disrupt things in a massive way, and then somehow manage to get out just before the new technology comes in and takes that over. Goodness gracious. Coming back to Scribe, Tom, because I think we could talk all day about your myriad of experiences, but coming back to Scribe, what do you think have been some of the biggest challenges then over the last, let's say, 12 months, growing Scribe to where it is now?
The biggest challenge I'd say has to do with broad adoption in a legal market space that's slow to move to technology. You can have the best solution possible. And if you've got a marketplace that isn't really willing to take any risk, it's difficult. We're truly at this place, if you took the bell curve, we're really at that early adopter place with regards to what we're doing. The vast majority of this space still believes that court reporting is really the best way to handle gathering testimony. I think broad scale adoption is probably the biggest challenge and friction around that.
Yeah. I guess this leads into the next question, which I always like to ask is like, let's say that we could wave a magic wand and we could solve a massive problem just like that. What would that big problem be?
Man,
Would it be related to that?
that's such a tricky question. I think the if I had a magic wand, I would in my space I say in Scribe's business, we have to anchor to rules, and every state has rules, and they're called civil procedure rules. So every state has rules, and at the federal level, they have rules. These rules were written 30 or 40 years ago when nobody envisioned remote depositions. Nobody knew where technology was going. Nobody saw AI. So if I had a magic wand, it would be to modernize rules because that's one of the friction points. Every state, we have to analyze it. and we have to thread the needle on how these rules are written. And these rules are like something's written, and then there's something that written to cleans it up, something written that cleans it up. It's at the point where it needs a full refresh. What I want to know is where's the magic wand?
I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, let me know
We're,
whenever you have that one available.
yeah. So how are you then like getting in front of clients, customers, and how are they finding out about Scribe?
So there's several different ways we're doing it. One is really the inbound lead flow is driven by ad spend. We go after, with the traditional winners in that space, Meta and Google are really big ones where we spend money. The other
Okay.
is I have account executives that are in different regions of the country who do outbound outreach to targeted law firms and individuals and trying to get business there. We also do conferences and try to get in front of as many people as possible. And the other one, the last one I'll mention is we do it with people like you. This is a great way for us to have really great content to push out to different channels. And so we see those are really the primary things we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Organic obviously is a big deal too. When we find success in a marketplace, we're finding that there's an organic growth that happens naturally because a lot of the attorneys and the people we target, they hang together, they go to functions together, they're on different Facebook groups. And so we get a big win in a big market. It leads to organic growth, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned you have account executives scattered across the states doing outbound. Can I assume that that's like knocking on doors, shaking hands, kissing babies? Is it sales calls? Is it email outreach? What does that look like?
It's less belly to belly and it's more LinkedIn, it's more meetings, it's more bringing in lunch, it's more connecting with different groups, legal groups in those markets. You have paralegal groups, you have legal assistants, you have bar associations. Getting involved in those groups is really a good thing as well. It's multi-pronged.
Got it, got it. And then so finally, just to wrap up here, Tom, like if you could hop in a time machine and you could go back, it seems like you almost have a time machine with your timing on some of these things, but how would you change? Would there be anything that you would change in your journey with Scribe? Would you change anything over the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. There probably would be several smaller things, but I mean, broad scale, I'll say that this, this idea started probably in the 2012, 2013 timeframe. And
Mm.
so Carl and I had some level of conversation about this ongoing for probably 7 years. And so this thing baked for a long time. And then when
Yeah.
when COVID happened and it became clear and we decided, hey, let's start the company, 2022, we formed the company and we did discovery calls with attorneys, paralegals, and judges, and we probably did 250 of them. And so by the time we got to the point where we're building and we're going to go to market, we had really put a lot of time and effort and thought into it. So I don't know if I would change how we came to market. I will say that we did have a false start with the initial CEO. It didn't go very well. So we had the better part of a year where we had somebody in the wrong seat. So I think if I could go back in time, it'd probably be to take a little bit more time and effort around filling that main seat, the CEO seat, when we started
Oh,
Scribe, because we had a misfire there. And that's when we had the misfire. That's when I took over the seat and I haven't left it.
beautiful. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about Scribe. I feel like we could go on for an hour and a half. There's so much content here. But if people are listening and they want to check you out, or maybe they got a deposition coming up and they want to use Scribe, where can they go and how maybe can they connect?
Yeah, I mean that's a great plug, and I appreciate it. They can go directly to the website. It is Scribe with a K, SKRIBE.ai. Then go to the website, or they can contact me directly, Tom at Scribe.ai. Jordan, I appreciate you reaching out. It's awesome to get to hang out with you. I am depressed. It's only 30 minutes. I was hoping we could hang out a little bit longer, but maybe another one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, I'll leave the links in the description if people want to check you guys out. I think love AI products that are disrupting markets, that are, when you look at it, you go, well, how did I not think of that? Like, how did this not exist before? So those are my favorite types of products. So massive
Yeah.
kudos to you for building something like that. But thank you.
Real quickly before you jump off, the other thing at
Sure.
some point, I'd love to share with you vision where this is going because everything we've done to this point is phase one. Phase two really gets exciting. So that'll be the teaser for the next time we talk about this.
Perfect. Perfect way to finish then. Well, look, I appreciate it, Tom. And until the next time, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you click the links in the description and check out what Tom is doing at Skribe. And we'll see you in the next one.